We all know that Brock Bowers is tearing up the NFL one game at a time. But how is he being used? What are his strengths and weaknesses? What do his advanced statistics tell us? And what do we see from him on film? Let's take a look. And so when we think about Brock Bowers, he's 6'3", 243 pounds. And so when we look at his RAS score, we don't really have very much because he didn't do any of the drills during his pro day or his combine. But he grades out as poor in terms of his size. Now, it's important to understand that there are different types of tight ends. Brock Bowers is more of your hybrid receiver type of tight end, where he's an oversized receiver, but a little bit of an undersized tight end, at least by traditional standards. But it really doesn't matter. As a true freshman, he was destroying competition at Georgia and only got better. He did deal with some injuries, so his stats might not look the best after that year in terms of growth like we typically like to see from prospects, but the skills are absolutely there. And this man just turned 22 years old. And so for him to be dominating at the NFL level as a rookie tight end is just nothing short of ridiculous. And so I took a look at weeks 1 through 17 and tight ends with at least 50 targets, and that was a total of 29. Brock Bowers ran 555 routes during this time, which was 88.8% of the team routes. Now look at his utilization. This man has the most positional versatility of any tight end in the entire NFL. He plays 54.4% of his snaps from the slot, and so he's a little bit of an oversized slot receiver or a big slot, but he does play 17.1% of his snaps out wide and 26.9% of his routes in line. Now, you'll also see that he is used as a fullback. And so, like I said, and he could probably be a halfback as well if he needed him to. But like I said, he has absolute positional versatility. This guy is a dangerous playmaker all over the field. Looking at his yards per out run among tight ends, his 2.06 is third in the NFL. His 89.8 PFF receiving grade is second. His 5.3 yak per reception is tied for 11th. His 4 missed tackles forced are tied for 21st. But look at his contested catches. His 15 are first. So not only is he used all over the field, he is dangerous even in contested catch situations. Looking at his targets, his 139 are first. His 108 receptions are actually a new rookie record, let alone a rookie tight end record. And he still has a game left to play. Goodness gracious. Looking at his receiving yards, his 1,144 are also first among tight ends. So not only did he break the rookie record, and pure rookie record, not even just for tight ends, he's also leading all tight ends in receiving yards. That is insane. Now, he only has 4 total touchdowns, which is tied for 10th. Given the anemic state of the Raiders' offense, if it was to get a mild quarterback upgrade, and if he potentially was to have another legitimate threat besides Jacoby Myers on this offense, that number would be going substantially up. Now, one thing about elite players is they earn elite targets. And so when we look at his target share among tight ends, his 25.9% is second in the NFL. And so that in and of itself should tell you at the very least that he's that much better than everyone else around him. But in this case, he is also an elite player. And looking at his target rate, his 29.5% is also sixth. And so the advanced analytics and counting stats tell us this guy is not only a great player, he's an elite player, and he is dominating across the board. And so let's look at how he performs versus man and zone separately. In terms of his PFF grade versus man coverage, among tight ends, his 83.6 score is second in the NFL, and his yards per out run versus man of 1.90 is fourth. So very good at beating man coverage, but he's also just as good against zone. His 90.6 PFF grade versus zone is second in the NFL among tight ends, and his 2.48 yards per out run versus zone is second as well. And so across the board, regardless of the coverage in which he faces, he dominates. Looking at his PFF grade on screens, his 60.5 grade is 12th. He isn't the best. Somebody like Jonnu Smith is a little bit better in the screen game, but he's still pretty good there as well. And if that's where he's the weakest at in terms of his usage on the field, that's pretty good, especially for a rookie tight end. Looking at his PFF grade in the slot, his 89.1 score is also second in the NFL. And so we saw that he was primarily used as a slot receiver, and so it's good to see that his score suggests that he's good in the position in which he's most utilized. And looking at his first downs caught among tight ends, his 58 is first. Looking at a couple of other advanced stats, his target quality rating, despite him posting all of these statistics, of 4.65 is 19th in the NFL. So it's not as if he's being assisted greatly by his quarterbacks. His 79.6% catchable target rate is 19th in the NFL among tight ends. So definitely not being helped there. Looking at his dominator rating, that's his market share of the total yards and touchdowns of the offense. His 27.4% is second in the NFL among tight ends. So he is the offense. Looking at his juke rate among tight ends, his 6.7% is second in the NFL. So very good after the catch as well. You'll see that on film for sure. Looking at his explosive rating, his 123.6 is second among tight ends. And that includes receptions of 20 or more yards or rushes of more than 10. Looking at his receptions, once again, his 108 are first among tight ends. His 1,144 receiving yards are first among tight ends. But look at his yards after catch. His 549 are first among all tight ends. Looking at his unrealized air yards, his 256 are also fifth. And so that means he could be having an even better season, at least in terms of total yardage, by an additional 256. Looking at his fantasy points per route run, his 0.5 are ninth in the NFL. A little bit better of an offensive environment would substantially increase that number, as well as his 1.7 fantasy points per target. That's 19th in the NFL. Once again, to add some context, the offense, if it wasn't so poor, would allow for more point scoring, which would thus increase his fantasy points per route run and per target with increased quarterback efficiency and just offensive efficiency in general. And so what we have here is somebody that is earning an elite target share. The efficiency metrics are ridiculous. And when you contextualize that with the state of the offense and quarterback play, is just nothing short of ridiculous. But is this backed up on film? Let's take a look. Taking a look at week 1, we have Brock Bowers in a bunch on the outside. What we're going to get from the Raiders here is a mesh concept. And so you're going to have a deep cross by this receiver with a little dig route behind him. And then you're going to get 2 shallow crosses underneath. And so they're going to hit Brock Bowers here, and it's going to be a good example of his yards after catch ability, and the Raiders understanding that he has this ability and setting him up and using him to his strengths. As far as the Saints are concerned, it's going to be a cover 4 or quarters. And so you're going to have your 4 deep quarter defenders with your underneath coverage here. And so, yeah, just take a note of his yards after catch ability here. So he gets the pass, heads straight upfield immediately, and maximizes yardage. He isn't really able to break a tackle there, but regardless, it's still a good play, a good example of his yards after catch ability. And on this play, once again, he is on the outside. You're going to see him moved all around the formation constantly. And so there you have it, a chunk gain in his first week. Looking at another play from week 1, this time Brock Bowers is in line. He is going to be performing another shallow cross. As far as the Saints are concerned, it's going to be straight cover 1 man. And so you'll have your deep midfield safety here. And now, what the linebackers are going to do here is if he's running towards this side of the field, this linebacker was theoretically going to be in man coverage, but he's going to attempt to pass it off to this linebacker. However, he is going to be wildly out of position. He's going to try to deflect this pass, but it's just not going to happen. And so what we have due to the miscommunication is another chunk gain. And so you'll see right here, he is pointing to the linebacker over here to tell him to take him in man coverage. He is going to be out of position. And there you go. Once again, he heads directly upfield. It's a shame he wasn't able to break that tackle, because if he did, he's probably scoring a touchdown. But once again, they're just setting him up with easy completions because of their, quarterback issues, and then allowing him to use his dynamic run after catch ability. And on this play, we're going to get a vertical route here by Jacoby Myers, which is intended to clear out space for Brock Bowers, who's lined up in line right here. He is going to be running a banana route where it looks as though he's running a crosser before he cuts directly back out for a corner route. And so it theoretically looks a little bit like a banana, and that's why you would call it that. Against the Chargers, who are going to be in a cover 3, and so you'll have your 3 deep third defenders with your underneath coverage right here. And so on this play, Brock Bowers is really going to sell that he's running the crossing route, and it's going to get the linebacker way out of position heading this way, and then he is going to have nothing but clear open field for him right here. And so you'll see right here, the linebacker is peeking to see if Brock Bowers is running behind him. As far as he looks, he is. Then he's going to make the grave error of overcommitting. and then for some reason doesn't seem to recover. And so, of course, there's going to be nobody back here. And so you get Brock Bowers a ton of open room, and you get some yards after catch. You'll see this play a couple times on film. It's quite effective, especially when you have somebody that can threaten deep down the middle of the field like Brock Bowers. And so there you go. 26-yard chunk gain in week 1. And so here in week 2 against the Ravens, we have Bowers lined up outside. He is running an angle route. What we're going to get from the Ravens is a quarters or cover 4 coverage. And so you have your 4 deep quarter defenders with your underneath coverage. And so on this play, notice the sharp cut that he makes, and then he makes a nice contested catch too. And so you'll see how he squares up the defender before sharply cutting inwards. It's a good pass. And he makes a nice contested catch too. And so we've seen that so far he absolutely can win in open space, but he can also win in contested catch situations, which is obviously going to be a necessity if you're unable to get open naturally through separation. And here against the Ravens, we have Brock Bowers lined up in line once again. He is going to run another banana where he fakes the crosser before heading out for the corner. The Ravens are going to be in quarters coverage again, and so you'll have your 4 deep quarter defenders with your underneath coverage. And so he's going to trick none other than Roquan Smith, who is one of the better linebackers, interior linebackers in the league. And so it's a good play once again. And look, he really does sell the crosser quite well here. And I'll show you what I mean. So he's obviously running right behind him, but he is right in Roquan Smith's line of sight here. So what he's going to do is head right behind him on purpose, which is going to give him the impression that he's running. He's going to continue running that way. And then while he's also still in his blind spot is when he decides to cut this out for the corner out. If he was not, if he was in Roquan Smith's line of sight, this route would be much less effective, but he knows exactly how to run this route to perfection. And so there you have it. Probably 8 yards of separation right there. And then head upfield, maximize yards after catch, punish the guy trying to tackle you, and really good play from Brock Bowers. And it's good to see that they're using him all over the formation, and especially with some of these double move routes where he is quite effective. In week 3 against the Panthers, we have our first negative play. And now understand that with Brock Bowers, I am nitpicking to find negatives. And so it's going to be quite hard to find things that are negative about him on film. So here he's running what's called a whip route, where he's faking as though he's running the out before he returns inwards for a reception here. The Panthers are going to be in a cover 3, and so you'll have your 3 deep third defenders, you'll have your 2 flats, and then you'll have your underneath coverage right here. And so on this play, he is going to, on the whip route, return and head a little bit upfields to try to run towards his quarterback to complete the catch. But if he had done so a little bit more, this would have been completed. And once again, I'm nitpicking. So he's returning here, and he does come back to the quarterback for the ball. But if he did so a little bit more, this would not be batted down. And so it's going to be an incompletion. And once again, I am nitpicking to find negatives here. But it would be nice on his part if he would have returned to the quarterback just a little bit more to ensure this completion. And here we have a little bit of a negative, but a lot of positive as well. So Brock Bowers is in line right here. So before he goes out for his route, he's supposed to chip the end here. He is going to miss his chip, and so preferably he would obviously assist his offensive line right there. But afterwards, he's going to run a shallow cross. The Panthers are going to be in quarters coverage once again, and so you're going to have your quarters right here with your flat, and hook zone right here. And so the Raiders are going to have vertical routes that all head downfield to clear out space so that the linebackers aren't going to really be close to Brock Bowers. It's going to be effective, but watch what he does after the catch here. And so he's going to miss the chip right there, but he's going to head out. You'll notice there is no one remotely close because they have everybody running vertically downfield. And so he gets it, and look at this move. Skirt! And then cuts the angle. And so he absolutely maximizes his yards after catch right here. There are a couple tight ends that you could arguably say are a little bit better after the catch, but it is hard to find such a complete tight end like Brock Bowers. Look at that cut. He knows how to maximize his yards after catch with angles, and it's just so impressive. On this play, we have Brock Bowers right here. He is running a clear route downfield. The Ravens are going to be in a cover 2, and so you'll have your 2 flat zone defenders, your curl defenders, your hook defender, and then you'll have 2 deep half safeties. And so what's going to end up happening is Bowers is going to be one-on-one with Marcus Williams, and he's not even going to initially win this route. But just like with all these other videos, what do good receivers do in scramble drill? They work with their quarterbacks to get open. And so once Brock Bowers gets down the field around the goal line, he's going to see that Gardner Minshew is in trouble and rolling to the right. And so what he's going to do is he's going to run back towards the quarterback a lot more than he did on that whip route. And he's going to end up saving and bailing out Gardner Minshew. It's a tremendous display of trust on Gardner Minshew's part because he throws this well before he's open. And then after the catch, Brock Bowers is a very tough human being to bring down, and it's going to take multiple Ravens. And so you'll see that he's passed off to Marcus Williams downfield. And so at this point in time, Gardner Minshew's rolling out to the right to evade the rush, and Bowers is not even remotely close to being open. But Bowers turns around and sees that Minshew's in trouble, so he gets on the inside of Marcus Williams, pushes off just a little bit to create some separation, and runs to his quarterback. Skies up for the pass. And then look at how tough it is to bring this guy down. He was that close to scoring a touchdown. And so we see, yes, Brock Bowers can be used, on shallow crosses and the like, but he absolutely can win vertically downfield. But even on this play, for instance, when he didn't actually win on his route, he makes himself available to Gardner Minshew when he needs him most. If you like what you're hearing and seeing so far, feel free to like and subscribe. It's a free and easy way to support the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. I'm doing videos on all of the rookie wide receivers, Brock Bowers, obviously, some of the rookie running backs, and then all of the rookie quarterbacks except JJ McCarthy. So if you want to see more content like this, feel free to check out those videos as they come out. And I've already made several videos, including ones on Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas, Xavier Legette, Keon Coleman, and the like. So make sure you check those videos out as well. Thanks. Here in week 5 against the Broncos, we're going to get our first screen on film here. So Bowers is going to run behind for a screen. You're going to get blocking from the receivers. The offensive line isn't really going to be able to be much of a help here. As far as the Broncos are concerned, they're going to be in a straight cover 1 man. And so the linebacker will be on Bowers. You'll have your robber here, your deep middle field safety here. And so it's not going to be a huge gain. It's going to be 3 yards. But it is good to see that they are trying to get him some blocking and see what he can do after the catch. There really wasn't much for him to do here. If he heads inside, he has a defender right here, as well as the linebacker that's covering him in man coverage. And so there really isn't much of an angle for him to exploit. And so he works outside. Unfortunately, number 19 here, DJ Turner doesn't win his block, and so he's forced to try to go around him. He sheds the tackle, though. And at that point, there's just nowhere for him to go. And so he really did maximize yardage as much as he possibly could on this play. But more so the point of showing this is to show that he is good after the catch, he's good at maximizing yardage, and it is good to see that they're using him in creative ways. And in week 5, we're also going to have our first absolutely dominant play from Brock Bowers. So you're going to get a vertical route by the only receiver. By the way, they're in 13 personnel, which means 1 receiver and 1, 2, 3 tight ends. Like I said, we're going to get our first dominant play here by Brock Bowers. He is running another banana where he fakes the crosser before heading out for the corner. The Broncos are going to be in a cover 0 blitz. And so you're going to have all of these down linemen blitzing both of these linebackers. And then you're going to have straight man coverage with no safety help behind him. And so PJ Locke, the safety, is going to be one-on-one here with Bowers. And my goodness, is he outmatched. Before they run out for the route, so you're going to get a play action to the left where the line fakes as though they're blocking for a run play. And so it's really going to be effective because it's going to delay the rush from being able to get to Gardner Minshew. But just look at what happens here. And so you'll see the play action. It slows down the rush. Bowers isn't really even that open. Look at this. Now, Gardner Minshew chucks this pass up to him. He skies over PJ Locke for this catch. And then look at the yards after catch. Good block from DJ Turner as well. And you have a 50-plus yard touchdown from Brock Bowers. And so we've seen that he can win, in open space. We've seen that he makes himself available to the quarterback when he's in trouble. But we also see that he can win vertically, and he can leap up over people to get dominant plays like this. And boy, was he fired up. And here we have one of my favorite plays. Now, it is going to be incomplete, so, the pass wasn't the best, but to be fair to Gardner, he was completely off platform. So here Brock Bowers is lined up as a fullback. And so what they're going to do is they're going to slip him out for a wheel route. You're going to get a route over the middle of the field to draw the coverage to the middle of the field to open up Bowers downfield. What you're going to get is cover 3 from the Broncos here with some underneath coverage right here. And so watch Brock Bowers gain separation vertically. He has a step on the player defending him. And once again, while this is an incompletion, I love the creativity, and we can see that Bowers has the ability to win downfield. And so you'll see here, he absolutely has a step on the guy covering him. The pass is going to be over his head, so there's really not much he can do. But from a creativity standpoint, I absolutely love to see the usage as a fullback. And so here against the Rams, you're going to get Brock Bowers going in motion. They're going to create a bunch on the bottom of your screen. And so pay attention, because he is going to run another little whip route. The Rams are going to be in cover 1, so you're going to have straight man coverage throughout. You're going to have a robber right here, and then you're going to have your deep midfield safety here. On this play, Brock Bowers destroys Ahkello Witherspoon's ankles. Just look at this. He sits down. Look at that. He is completely on the ground because of this route by Brock Bowers. Sheesh. And so he heads directly upfield once again, tries to deliver a blow to the defender. He kind of gets knocked on his own butt at the end anyways, but the route itself was beautiful, destroyed Witherspoon's ankles, and he heads directly upfield to get more yak. This guy is, in my opinion, already the best tight end in the NFL. Absolutely, arguably the most complete tight end. You could argue George Kittle for sure, but he is doing what we're seeing on film as a rookie tight end. This just doesn't happen. Taking a look at this play against Miami, Bowers is going to originally line up here. However, the Raiders are going to put him in motion. And so what we're going to get from him is a flat route right here. You're going to get the wide receiver right here running a shallow cross, but he's going to run up a little bit extra before running the cross, and that is going to be able to get in the way of the defender and man coverage. And so what we're going to get here is a really interesting coverage by the Dolphins. You're going to get straight man. However, you're going to get the two interior defensive players here running back into a little zone over the short middle of the field. And so if he had intended to run or pass it to the shallow cross here, that potentially could have been intercepted. But look at Brock Bowers after the catch here. And so it's essentially a screen. It's purposeful. You see that the way the routes run, it's going to cause him or the defender to be directly in the way of the guy in man coverage. And so Bowers gets the pass. It's a little bit behind him, forcing him to turn around. But then he heads directly upfield, shrugs off the tackle. No, thank you. I want to score. Does so. And good play design by the Raiders. Good run after catch ability. I love how he runs directly upfield after the catch. Shrugs off a tackle. Easy touchdown. Here against the Chiefs, Bowers going to be in a bunch right here. He is running a slot fade. And so you can see throughout the entirety of these clips that there really aren't very many routes that he can't run. He's essentially an oversized wide receiver, which is just so impressive. So what we're going to get from the Chiefs here is a cover 3 where you have your 3 deep third defenders, and then you'll have your robber underneath. Except on this specific play, Trent McDuffie is going to match with Brock Bowers here, which makes this all the more impressive because Trent McDuffie is one of the best corners in the NFL. And so not only is he going to win here against Trent McDuffie, he's going to be interfered with and make a one-handed catch. I mean, this is just ridiculous. This guy's a tight end, winning against an elite cover corner while being interfered with and making a one-handed catch doing so. This does not happen. It's Brock Bowers. He's only going to get better. And if you are anyone on the defense going against him, that is just a scary thought. Also against the Chiefs, you're going to have Brock Bowers lined up in line right here. He is running a deep crosser. The Chiefs are going to be in a match cover 3, so you would theoretically have your 3 deep third defenders, but they are going to be acting in man coverage here. And so you're going to have Connor one-on-one against Brock Bowers here. I do think he has his hands on him past 5 yards, so it theoretically could have been illegal contact by the defender here. But watch how he fights through the physical coverage and then gets past 3 people here for the touchdown. And so that is beyond 5 yards. He has his hands all over Bowers. And so he gets past him anyways, catches this, has 2 people draped on him, does not matter. He is going to lunge for the touchdown. Easy money. It is just, I mean, when you're holding him, it doesn't matter. He still ends up beating you. This is just so ridiculous. And so yet another dominant play from Brock Bowers. On the final play I'm going to show you, Brock Bowers is lined up in the slot, so he's going to be working vertically down the field. Now to contextualize this, the Chiefs are up 19-17, so the Raiders need to score. It's the 4th quarter with 1 minute and 14 seconds left. It's 2nd and 5 on their own 25-yard line. So this is must-have territory. The Chiefs are going to be in an exotic coverage where they have man coverage throughout with a hook zone linebacker over the middle of the field. And so Bowers is going to get the leverage desired. He's going to be wide open, and he is one shoestring tackle away from potentially housing this. And so he wins his route, gets the leverage he wants, snags the catch, and barely gets shoestring tackled, because if he's able to break this tackle and number 6 here over the middle of the field isn't able to tackle him, that is a touchdown. And so it's unfortunate that he wasn't able to house it, but once again, he's coming up for the Raiders in the absolute must-have moments. And so we see that Brock Bowers is one of the best assets in the passing game in terms of tight ends already at the NFL level. He's used 54.4% of the time in the slot, 17.1% of the time out wide, and 26.9% of the time in line. We also see that he's a fullback. And so he's used all over the offense. His yards per route run of 2.06 across all formations is 3rd among all tight ends, which when you contextualize that with the state of the offense, which is just anemic, especially with the quarterback play, that just makes this all the more impressive. Remember that his PFF receiving grade of 89.9 overall is 2nd among all tight ends already as a rookie. His 15 contested catches are 1st among all tight ends. Remember that he just set the, let alone tight end, the rookie reception record with 108 receptions. A rookie tight end is doing this. And he's also 1st in total receiving yards among tight ends with 1,144. And remember that elite players, even if they're just that much better than the players around them, earn targets at an elite rate. And while, yes, he is much better than the players around him, he's also an elite player in his own right. And so remember that his 25.9% target share among tight ends is 2nd in the entire NFL, and his 29.5% target rate is 6th in the NFL. Also remember that it really doesn't matter if he's facing man or zone coverage. His 83.6 PFF grade versus man is 2nd among tight ends, and his yards per out run versus man of 1.90 is 4th. And like I said, against zone, he's still just as good. His PFF grade versus zone of 90.6 is 2nd among tight ends, and his yards per out run versus zone of 2.48 is tied for 2nd. He's pretty good in the screen game as well. His 60.5 grade is 12th among tight ends, and that definitely isn't his biggest strength, but for that to be among these stats the worst is rather incredible. And he's used mostly in the slot, and he's dominant in the slot. His PFF grade of 89.1 is 2nd. Remember that he also leads all tight ends in first downs caught with 58, while doing this with the 19th best target quality rating and 19th best catchable target rate. When we look at his utilization, like I said, he's used all over the formation. He runs drag routes, banana routes, angle routes, whip routes, clear routes, screens, wheel routes, flat routes, slot fades, and crossers. And so he runs the complete route tree. He's essentially a dynamic, big slot wide receiver and a tight end's body. Remember that he's amazing in contested catch situations. If you remember that slot fade against Trent McDuffie, where, first of all, Trent McDuffie is an elite cover corner, well, he was being interfered with and still made that one-handed catch. Remember that he's also clutch because later in that game, he ran open down the seam for a clutch first down conversion when the Raiders were down by 2 with 1 minute and 14 seconds left in the fourth quarter. And so all of this is to say that there really isn't a deficiency in his game. We saw that, sure, if I was being really critical, he could have come back on that whip route a little bit more to help out Gardner Minshew. And we did see that he did miss a chip block when he was going on a shallow cross. And so, like I said, I was trying really hard to find deficiencies in his game, or at least negative plays. There aren't many. He is that good. And the scary thought is he's only going to get better. And so when it's all said and done, I think he is going to be a Hall of Fame type of player. He's already performing at a Hall of Fame pace right now. We will have to see if the Raiders bring in significant target competition that could potentially hurt his counting stats. But in terms of how talented he is as a player, it's my opinion that he is already the best tight end in the NFL already. And like I said, he's only going to get better. But what are your thoughts? Do you think I'm a little bit too high on him? Is there anything that you think I missed? If so, let me know below in the comment section and let me know why. Make sure you check out my other rookie videos I made, such as the videos on Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Keon Coleman, Xavier Legette, and the rest. I'm going to continue making videos on rookie wide receivers, some of the rookie running backs, and then all of the rookie quarterbacks except JJ McCarthy. And then I'm going to be moving on to 2025 rookies and doing film breakdowns and player profiles on those players as well. So make sure you check out those with time. Thanks.